Shall we start? Shuklambaradaram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vigno Pashantaye Dorbiryukta Chaturbispatikamaнимayi Makshamalam Dadhana Haste Naikena Padmam Sitamapicha Shukam Pustakam Chaparena Bhasa Kundendu Sankaspatikamaninibha Bhasamana Samana Same Vagdevateyam Nivasatu Vadane Sarvada Suprasanna Kujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakam Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Rama Katanadam Konayati Param Gatim Goshpati Kritavarashim Mashaki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamala Ratnam Vande Nilatmajam Yatra Yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamastakanjalim Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namatarakshasantakam Vaidehi Sahitam Suradrumatale Haime Mahamandape Madhye Pushpakamasane Manimaye Virasane Sustitam Agre Vacheti Prapanjana Sute Tattvam Munibhya Param Vyakyantam Bharatadi Parivritam Ramam Bhaje Shyamalam Namostu Ramaya Salakshmanaya Devyai Chatasya Janakatmajayai Namostu Rudrendra Yamanilebhyaha Namostu Chandrarka Marudkanebhyaha Harihi Om. Okay, so we are in a very the turning point of Ramayana. See that I was saying I didn't see you for a very long time. So we are in a very important point in Ramayana, in Ayodhya Kandam, where what we found we ended in the last class by how intelligently Manthara completely changed the mind of Kaikeyi. It was a very concerted effort on the part of Manthara somehow to change Kaikeyi. She told all kinds of things to Kaikeyi. If you remember, we ended with those shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. Uddaret atmana atmanam, na atmanam avasadayet, atmaiva bandhuhu atmanam, atmaiva ripuratmana. That is the lesson in this whole story. Our mind is our friend or our mind is our enemy. Krishna says the choice is yours. You can, if you know how to make use of this apparatus called mind. Mind is the most powerful apparatus that one can ever think of. And very interestingly, not only it is the most powerful apparatus, there is no operation manual for it. So normally if you have a gadget, you get an operation manual so that we can refer it and know how to use it. Mind is the most powerful apparatus, and we spend lifetimes trying to understand how to use it because there is no operation manual. There is no book to refer how to use the mind. So that is why Krishna says, Uddaret atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet. So that is the moral of that story. Because in 4 sargas, we found that Kaikeyi, who was extremely happy that Rama is going to be the next Yuvaraja, completely turned hostile just because of the manthanam of Manthara. She churned her out left, right, center, and I think that is a lesson with which we ended in the last class. Today we have a couple of very interesting lessons for us also to take from. we saw up to the 11th Sarga of Ayodhya Kandam. We will see 2-3 Sargas today and see what lessons we have for life as we go through this story of the enormous pain that Dasharatha is going through on account of what he has been facing through Kaikeyi. So it is the 12th Sarga of Ayodhya Kandam, one of the longest Sargas, 114 shlokas, because Dasharatha is pouring out. Dasharatha doesn't know what to do. It is a bolt from the blue for him. It is like a thunder. He doesn't know how to handle this problem. So there are 114 shlokas in this Sarga. First 37 shlokas are Dasharatha trying to find reasons. Dasharatha doesn't understand why did Kaikeyi turn like this. So he was trying to find out why is she behaving like this. She pleads her to give up the idea. We saw 2 shlokas. With that we ended. But anyway, we'll see it again. It will be a continuity. Then the next 13 shlokas, Kaikeyi is become now relentless. Kaikeyi has moved far away from what Dasharatha has taught. So she is now single point focus. She is saying, you are not giving, if you are not giving the boon, what does it mean? What is the danger for you and what is the danger for me? If you don't give, I'll end my life. And if you don't give, you have broken your all blackmailing, everything she does. Then Dasharatha tries to tell in the next 33 shlokas, what will happen if he really grants the boon? For example, he says the whole world will not agree to it. Because everybody knows Rama is a very eligible and a very nice person. So why did you do it? And he also says, I will not live long. So many things he says. He says, Bharata will not agree for it. So many things he tries to say. This lady is no more to listen to any of those. So he continues in the next 31 shlokas. He further says how this decision will lead to his death and how it will destroy the Ikshwaku race also. All that he tries to tell. But Kaikeyi is, as we will see in the next Sarga, Kaikeyi is not going to listen to any of those. She is bent on extracting her pound of flesh that night. Because tomorrow morning is the function. Only one night is remaining. This is the last opportunity to get what to get out of it. So therefore, that is what you see. We will see some shlokas. 114, so I have taken some 8, 10 shlokas, 10, 12 shlokas from here because it is really long. Some moods, some messages I want to take. Tvammaya atmavishanartam bhavanam swam praveshita avijnanan ripasuta vyali tikshna vishayata. So these are the lamentations of Dasharatha. And Dasharatha says, what does he say here? He says, Maya Atma Vinashartam, to destroy myself. Atma Vinashartam, Swam Bhavanam, to my own place. Avijnanan, without knowing. This is out of ignorance. Avijnanan, Swam Bhavanam, Atma Vinashartam, Tvam Maya Praveshita. I have caused all these problems without knowing what kind of a person you are. I have got you into my palace, and today I am able to see it is only to destroy myself. I have done that. So that's what he says. Maya Atma Vinashartam Swam Bhavanam Tvam Praveshita. You were brought by me into this palace. Avijnanan, without knowing. Only today I am realizing it. I did not know that this is going to happen. Nripasuta, the daughter of she is also from a royal clan anyway. So, Nripasuta. Then he says, Vyali Tikshna Vishayata. Snake with a sharp poison or tongue or whatever you want to say. It looks as though you are like a snake with a deep venom and a sharp, this thing. That's what He says in this shloka, Para bhavati me pritihi drishtva tanayam agrajam apashyatastu me ramam nashta bhavati chetana. Then he says, Pritihi me pritihi para bhavati. My pleasure becomes ultimate. Pritihi para bhavati, me pritihi para bhavati. When agrajam tanayam drishtva, on seeing the eldest son, I become very happy. On seeing Rama, I become very happy. So agrajam tanayam drishtva, me pritihi para bhavati. This is what Dasharatha says. Apashyatah, but if I don't see him, apashyatah tu me ramam nashta bhavati chetana. I will lose my mind. I will lose my mental balance and my mental state of my state of mind if I don't see him. Actually, so that is what he says. How close, how dear is Rama to me? Please understand that, and you are trying to give me a suggestion which is going to destroy me. That is the indication here by virtue of saying this. Nanu te ragavastulyo bharatena mahatmana bahusho hi subale tvam katha katayase mama. Tvam katha katayase. You have been telling. You were saying. I was not saying. Tvam kataha kate. You are telling so many times, so many things, mama, to me. And what were you saying? You were saying, Nanu, did you not say? Nanu is a word in Sanskrit to say, did you not do? Did you not say? For that we say Nanu.
Is that not?
Is that not? That is what it is. So, Ragavastulyaha Bharatena Mahatmana. You were always saying that Raghava is equal to Bharata. So many times in the past you have been saying that. Bahushaha, many times. Many times in the past, you have been telling me that Bharata and Rama to you is like Bharata. Ragavastulyaha Bharatena. Bharatena Ragavastulyaha. Because Bharata is your son. But still you said that, both are equal to me. You are only saying it. Satye nalokan jayati deenan dhanena Ragavaha Guru Susrushaya Viraha Danusha Yudhishatravan. Then he goes on to say, he wants to remind Kaikeyi that Rama is the most appropriate person for the job, to be the Yuvaraja. Although she knows it, he wants to remind her once again. So there are a couple of shlokas coming, which brings these nice things about Rama, which he wants to remind to Kaikeyi. So he says, Satyena lokan jayati. Rama's specialty is he can win the whole world purely on the basis of Satyam. Truthfulness. Truthfulness is his weapon or his tool. I should not use the word weapon. It should be the tool to win the whole world of people around him. So that's the first good thing about him. Deenan dhanena Ragavaha. He is able to, for those who don't have anything, for the have-nots, he shows infinite compassion. He shows that compassion and gives what will be of the greatest use to them. So that way he becomes very dear to them. So Deenan Dhanena Ragavaha Gurun Susrushaya. So the elderly people, he will do with a sense of service, he will appeal to the elderly people. Elderly people can include the parents, the elderly people, the guru in the name of teacher. It could be anybody. So Gurun Susrushaya, he is able to win over. Then Danusha Yudhishatravan. When it comes to war, that's why Ramaha Shastrabratam Rataha. That's what in 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is all these best in class examples, Vibhuti Yoga. He says Rama Shastrabratam Varaha. That's what Krishna says. That amongst those who are actually known for their power of archery, he says I would put Rama there. So that's why here it comes, Danusha Yudhishatravan. When it comes to war, which you will see it in full measure in the Yuddhakandam. When it comes to war, he is not found wanting. He has such a powerful fighting capability and the skill, and with his Dhanush, he will be able to even do that. So he has all the qualities. He wants to remind that to Kaikeyi. Satyam danam tapastyagaha mitrata shauchamarjavam vidya cha guru susrusha dhruvan etani ragave. So in Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there are 20 nice values. All these are there. Many of these are there. Amanitvam madambi, 7th shloka to 11th shloka. Amanitvam madambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam stairyam atma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam. It goes on 20 values. Yes. Ishta, anishta, upapattishu, all those. So those are there. So look at here, Satyam. See, these are great qualities of a leader to be. It's not about Rama. These are great qualities for somebody who can, in a very lasting way, can actually flower themselves as a Vyakti. It is not about winning in the world. It is not about making a few more money in the world, and it's not that. This soul, all of us are nothing but that soul. That soul takes janma after janma after janma for only one goal. That goal is that flower must fully blossom. The Vyaktitva Vikasa must happen. That is that realization that we are actually, that journey is what we are going through. In the process, we are into so many things. Whereas these are those required for that. Satyam. In fact, Kaikeyi is going to give actually a couple of shlokas to Dasharatha about Satyam. We will see that shlokas. She is going to remind him to her benefit. Of course. Satyam. Dhanam. Tapaha. Tapas is actually ekagrata, chitta ekagrata. That is the definition Shankaracharya gives. Tapas is chitta ekagrata. Our ability to concentrate on one thing is called tapas. That's why to do anything you need tapas. To succeed you need tapas. What does tapas? Success means? You are able to focus all your energy onto that chosen thing. That's why I very oftenly say that a terrorist also needs tapas. To mastermind the greatest violence, you need tapas. Maybe for a wrong reason, but it needs tapas. It is that ekagrata, chitta ekagrata, indriya ekagrata, that oneness of mind for a purpose. If the purpose is bad, then that whole thing perishes, including the person. That's a different story. So tapaha, tyagaha, ability to give aparigraha is very, very important. That's a problem a lot of us face. It's not easy to give up. I mean, we can keep talking about giving up and all that. Even somebody asks for a pen, we keep the cap and give the pen. Giving up is not easy. Because we are very worried this pen is not going to come back. So we actually, take the cap and give the pen. As I was hearing the other day on Pravachana, as that person very nicely was saying, you leave the chappal outside and come in and all the time think about the chappal. Nothing, satsanga will not happen. That's the level of tyaga we have. Worst come worst, it will go. If it goes, you can walk home with bare chappal and then spend another from 1,000 rupees and buy a chappal. But you leave the chappal outside and all the time thinking, particularly if it is a new chappal, satsanga is a complete washout. We can't even go to that level. I'm not even talking of tyaga. I'm talking of some incidental losses. Whereas what is being talked about is tyaga. That sense of aparigraha. We have so much of sense of entitlement in everything in life. In relationships, in respect, in power, in position, in physical things that we have in life. Everywhere we have entitlement. We are not able to give up an inch. We may keep saying all that. The proof of the pudding is in eating. So, tyaga is that. We have phenomenal sense of entitlement. We have to reflect on these ideas. Only then some amount of aparigraha will come. Right? So, mitrata. This is Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Yevacha. That is that in Bhakti Yoga he says that. Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam is the Mitrata Bhava. Again, all these are very, very hard. We can keep reading, memorizing, all that we can do. To practice it, to bring it into a little bit of our personal practice, if we can do it, we have actually covered phenomenal ground in our journey of self-evolution. I mean, it's all about self-evolution. It's not about power. It's not about position. It's not about what we get materially in this world. And all that is not the, basis of discussion in this country. It's all very high thinking of a much higher order. We all do it because these are intermediate goals that we are going through. For a Vyavahara Drishti, we have to do all that. But if Vyavahara is the ultimate goal of life, we have actually lost out heavily, which is what we are seriously turning into these days. So it is much bigger than that. Shaucham. Cleanliness. Cleanliness is not external cleanliness, with scent and all that, well-pressed cloth. And it is not Bhahyantra. Abhyantra. It's not only Bhahyantra. Abhyantra Shaucham. That's much harder. That Shaucham is much harder than Bhahyantra Shaucham. So that is that Shaucham. It is cleanliness in thought, cleanliness in action. So we need, as much as we need detergents for washing it, there are some prescribed detergents for washing inside also. Satsanga is a very powerful detergent to wash inside. It's a very powerful detergent actually, to wash inside and then clean up all the muck. That's why Satsangam is very, very important. So Shaucham, Arjavam, that Ruj Bhava, straightness. Ruj is straight. So, Manasa, Vacha, Kaya, action, deeds and thoughts, complete alignment. I mean, that's a very high level of thinking. If you go on self-reflect and ask in the 24-hour cycle how many proportion of time we have practiced Arjavam, we have to ask. Because that is where our journey lies. Israel, that we have to ask ourselves. Arjavam is, are you aligned in your thinking, thought, action, deeds and words? That is Arjavam. So these are the qualities being talked about of Rama by Dasharatha. Vidyacha Guru Susrusha, knowledge, the power of knowledge. Because he is Veda, Vedanga, Pandita, all those we have seen in Balakanda. How he is well equipped with all science and all that. Guru Susrusha, already we have talked about it. Dhruvani Etani. Dhruvani is in an for sure, unshakably. For sure, no iota of doubt. There is no samshaya. You don't have to think twice to say it. It is there. That's what he's saying. Dhruvani Etani Ragave. In Raghava, you see all these. So, why are you? That is what he is saying. Tasmin Narjava Sampanne Devi Devopame Katam Papama Shamsase Rame Maharshi Samatejasi. Tasmin Arjava Sampanne Devi Deva Upame Deva Eva Upama Devopame Katam Papam Ashamsase. In fact, all these are adjective for Rama. Rame, Tasmin Rame. In that Rama. And what is this Rama? Arjava Sampanne. He is Arjava Sampanne. One who has this straight, the attribute of being straight. Arjava Sampanne. That is also Saptami Vibhakti. That is also for Rama only. So, Tasmin, Arjava Sampanne, Devopame. That is also Saptami Vibhakti. That is also an adjective for Rama. One who is equal to like a god. Right? Maharshi Samatejasi. That's also Saptami Vibhakti. One whose Tejas is equal to a Maharshi. So the rest are all adjectives for Rama. The question here is very simple. The question here is, how are you thinking of creating harm to this person? And that person is all these adjectives. The adjectives are Devopame, Arjava Sampanne, Maharshi Samatejasi, Rame. So all these are, so the question here, Dasharatha is asking, a person of such a stature, such straightforwardness, why are you trying to do harm? Papam Ashamsase. Right? Khatam. How? How are you thinking of trying to inflict this damage on a person who is so straightforward and well equipped, is ready, is the most appropriate person for what we are thinking? Why are you trying to do that? So this is what Dasharatha is asking. Nasmaramya priyam vakyam lokasya priyavadinaha sakatam totkrite ramam vakshyami priyam apriyam. Nasmarami, I don't remember at all. If I strain my memory, I never find an occasion when such a thing happened. What is that? Apriyam vakyam lokasya. Lokaha here represents Rama. Right? Priyavadinaha lokasya. Priyavadinaha lokasya. Both are Sashti. So that is adjective for Rama. The one Rama is a Priyamvadaha. He has never spoken anything which is apriyam. I am not able to recollect at all. Nasmarami. Apriyam Vakyam. Priyavadinaha Lokasya Ramasya. Rama has never spoken anything to inflict harm on anyone. Sakatam Totkrite Ramam Vakshyami Priyam. Priyam Ramam Katam. For the sake of you. Totkrite. For the sake of you, how am I going to tell apriyam? Something which is not good to tell. Priyam Ramam Katam Apriyam Vakshyami. Rama is so dear to me. He has never said anything. Doesn't have the habit of saying in a way to hurt or anybody or anything like that. How am I going to go and tell him this? This is an apriyam. This is not a priya vakyam. It is an apriyam vakyam. So how am I going to say this? Dasharatha is going through the churn. Then, he did a few things which Chakravarti will not do. There are 2 shlokas I have picked. The next shloka and one more shloka I have picked. Look at what he is saying. Some more are there. Mama vriddasya Kaikeyi gatantasya tapasvinaha deenam lalapyamanasya karunyam kartum arhasi. He is begging for karuna. He is begging for karunya bhava to Kaikeyi. He is saying, vriddasya, I am old. Gata antasya, I am at the verge of my life is over. It's a matter of some more time. I am come to the end. Gata antasya vriddasya mama. All these are sashti. So these are all talking about Dasharatha, about him. My old age, I am at the end of my life journey. Right? Tapasvina, I am all the time now, my interests are all lost. I am now focused on this reaching the ultimate because I have done enough. I have now reached that. So all these are sashti. All these are adjectives for Dasharatha. Mama vriddasya gata antasya tapasvinaha lalayamanasya. I am also very agitated by so many things that has happened now. These are all, I am churning here and there. Lalanam is moving here and there. No? So he is sort of saying that I am also Karunyam kartumarhasi. Deenam. I have become a Deena now. I have come to the level of begging now. So can you not show some mercy and avoid me at the end of my life? I don't want to say something which will destroy myself, which will simply accelerate my end, which is what happened. Which will accelerate my end. So, Karunyam Kartumarhasi, Hey Kaikeyi. That's a Sambodhana there. Hey Kaikeyi, I am at the end of my life. I have now lost all other interests. Why are you putting me into such a sort of difficult situation? Can you not show some mercy to me so that this can be avoided? Because this will really affect me so much and my death will only get accelerated. It's implied. It's implied from what he is saying. Right? So that's what Dasharatha says here. Look at what he is doing. Anjalim karomi Kaikeyi padau chapi sprishami te sharanam bhavaramasya madharmo mamiha sprishet. This Chakravarti goes to the extent of saying, I will touch your feet. That's what he is saying. Kaikeyi Anjalim karomi. This is called Anjali Mudra. And one person says this is called Anjali Mudra because Am Jalayati iti Anjali. If you do it, it will generate tears on the opposite side. Because this is saying, think about it. If somebody, I mentioned this long back in the Gita class, if I remember. I saw one photograph. It was some riots in this country. One 24-year-old man, there's a photograph, he is like this. I am seeing it, I got very affected. Because this mudra will generate that sentiment in you, if you do like this. That's why in this country, we don't shake hands. One of my, in Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith, the managing trustee, is a doctor. He made a very nice observation. He said, sir, we won't do it. We will only do this because we want to say, you keep your infection, I'll keep my infection. As a doctor, he said, He said, this is sharing infection. There's also meaning to what he said. But this is Anjali Mudra. So, Anjalim Karomi. This is ultimate surrender bhava. We do it, that's why before God we do it. For Atiti is also God for us. That's why when Atiti comes, this is our practice. We don't do all this. Nowadays we do this because we are so used to shaking hands from the Western thing. We have learned this. This is our thing. So, Anjalim Karomi Kaikeyi. Padau chapi sprishamite. I will touch your feet. If that is what will satisfy your ego, I will touch your feet. Padau chapi sprishamite. Sharanam bhava. Ramasya Sharanam will let you be the refuge of Rama, because this whole thing, the reason is, he says, Adharmaha mam iha sprishet. Before I die, I don't want to do this act of adharma. Because he is not at all eligible for something which I am going to say just because I gave you a promise several years back. You are invoking it now. So he says, Adharmaha mam iha sprishet. Because of that, you save me. I am willing to touch your feet. Chakravarti is saying, I am willing to touch your feet. The last shloka of this chapter also is like that. These are the two shlokas in which there it says Atimatra. Valmiki uses the word, he says he crossed all limits and protocols that are expected of a great king. He uses the word Atimatra in the last shloka. We will see that. So that's what Dasharatha did, and he tried to. So the first 38 shlokas, we are the first block, where Dasharatha is trying to understand what is happening to Kaikeyi, trying to make her understand the merit of what he is saying and so on.
The biggest lesson of Ramayana is never ever promise. Or you are in a fix.
No, there is a much bigger lesson we will see. At least in this episode, there is a much bigger lesson we will see.
Kausalya Simara, he says, I will get a papa as if I have broken a promise. So if you promise, you have to fulfill it.
Yes.
You better not promise.
No, not necessary. You can promise, but your ability to stand up to the promise is a much higher virtue. Why do you want to? There is a great opportunity to promise here. You are worried about something will happen to you. That's why you are saying this. If you are not worried about that, he says, not for him. Nowhere he said for him. He is saying it appears very inappropriate. Finally, did that only, no? Anyway. But Kaikeyi is in no mood to listen to any of these because she is completely changed. So she goes on the offensive. The next shlokas are like that. I have taken a couple of shlokas from there. Yasya prasade jivami yachamam abhyapalayat tasya kritam maya mitya kaikeya iti vakshyasi. She is reminding Dasharatha, you know what will happen if you don't give me the boon? I will tell you. That's what she is saying. What is she saying? Yasyaha prasade jivami. He says, Dasharatha, please go and say like this. Today I am living because of the Kaikeyi. Because, that's where the boon came, no? That Asura war in which she went to help Indra and Dasharatha was wounded. All that story we saw in the last class. Yasyaha prasade jivami. I am the one, today I am living only because of her prasada. Yacha mam abhyapalayat. She protected me. Meaning, immediately after that war. That is the immediate meaning we have to take. He pulled her out of he was wounded and in the battlefield, he pulled her out. We saw it in the last class. So, yacha mam abhyapalayat tasyaha kritam maya mitya. Are you going to go and say, here is a lady, because of her I am living. She is the one, she protected me, and now I have broken my promise for this lady. See how she is piercing. Tasyaha kritam mitya maya kaikeya iti vakshyasi. Are you going to say like that? Think about it. She is telling Dasharatha, please think about it. Are you going to go and tell the assembly, no, she helped me, she saved me. Today I will break the promise and rehearse yourself. Are you going to say that? That's what Kaikeyi is asking. See how she is really piercing him, who is already wounded by this whole idea. Look at the next one. Sattvam dharmam parityajya ramam rajye abhishicya cha saha kausalyaya nityam rantumichasi durmate. You durmate. See what is she saying to Dasharatha? Hey durmate, your mind is gone. You have not understood promises are to be kept. Durmate, hey Durmate, it's a Sambodhana and Dasharatha. Hey Durmate, Tvam Dharmam Paritejya. So you want to give up this dharma of keeping promise, keeping one's word. Dharmam Paritejya, Ramam Rajye Abhishicya. So therefore, since you gave up the dharma, you will anyway going to incarnate Rama as the Yuvaraja. So Ramam Rajye Abhishicya, Kausalya Saha Nityam Rantumichanti. So you want to jolly well, happily live with Kausalya like that? I am not going to live it. That is implied there. By asking this question, that last part is implied. I am not going to accept for it. Are you going to do that? Is what Kaikeyi. So there are few such shlokas. I think took only one or two, I think, just to give you a sense of what it is. Nakatanchitrite Ramad Bharato Rajyam Avaset Ramadapi Hitam Manye Dharmato Balavattaram. Again, this is the next set of the rest of the chapter is Dasharatha's lamentation. Dasharatha is still trying to somehow give more and more arguments to Kaikeyi, hoping that she will in some ways listen to him. Okay? Na katanchit rite Ramat Bharataha Rajyam Avaset. Ramat katanchit rite Bharataha Rajyam Avaset. Na katanchit rite. That is inappropriate. Rama, no way. It's not part of the Rita. Rita is Ritim. Ritim is the word Rita. Satyam and Ritam are two words. You know, in Taittiriya Upanishad also in the Shanti Mantra it is there. We did discuss it in some detail at that time. There are two words, Satyam and Ritam. Satyam cha Ritam cha Satyam abhavat yaditam kincha. In Brahmanandavalli there is one mantra like that. Satyam is that both are very similar, but there is a difference between the two words. Satyam, by its fundamental definition, simple, powerful definition, Satyam is that which doesn't change at all. What it was yesterday will be today. What it is today, it will be tomorrow. So your health is not Satyam, your body is not Satyam, your life is not Satyam, this dress is not Satyam, the power is not Satyam, the position is not Satyam, the money that we earn is also not Satyam, because all of them change. It didn't happen yesterday. There's no guarantee it will be there tomorrow in the same measure. Satyam is that Sat, that which does not change. So it is a very generic principle, Satyam. Ritam is on account of this governing principle of Satyam, so many things happen. That's called Ritam. There's an order. The order is an expression of that Satya. It's a worldly order. That's called Rita. Rita has that meaning. In another synonym, Rita also means Satya, but used in that sense. But Rita is different from Satya. It is actually that, for example, sun rising in the east and setting in the west is Rita, which comes out of the Satya. Or gravitational laws of science, gravitational pull, high tide, low tide, anything, they're all Rita. Meaning they are the orderly things which are drawing itself from the larger principle of Satya. So it is inappropriate, it is not possible. That's the meaning here. So Ramadapi hitam manye dharmataha balavattaram. He says Ramadapi, in comparison with Rama, if you compare it with Rama, he says dharmataha, from the perspective of dharma, he says Bharata's dharma balavattaram. Balavattaram is comparative. Balavattamam. Taram tamam in Sanskrit, comparative, superlative. Right? So balavattaram. He says, you don't know, when you measure on the yardstick of dharma, you will actually find Bharata will be even more than Rama. That is what Dasharatha is saying, which turned out to be true. That was what we found finally. He said that if you take the yardstick of dharma and measure it, you will actually find Bharata will be better than Rama. That's why he uses there Balavattaram. His thing is much stronger. His orientation towards dharma is actually much stronger, is what Manye. Dasharatha says, that's what I understand. He is trying to find a window of opportunity to somehow make Kaikeyi agree to this decision. Yada yada hi kaushalya dasi vacha saki vacha bharya vadbagini vacha matruvachopatishthati satatam priyakama me priyaputra priyambada namaya satkrita devi satkararha krite tava. Now Dasharatha says, she praises Kausalya here. How she was. And I didn't do anything to her. He thinks about it now and he says it's because of you. It's also he says. He says, Yada yada hi Kaushalya, she was like a dasi. She had such a sense of service attitude towards me. Dasivat. Saki, she was very close as a friend to me. Bharya, she was truly a wife to me, discharged the responsibility of a wife. Bhagini, she was like a sister, right? Matrvat, she was like a mother, right? So Upatishtati, she was like that. I am reflecting it now. Dasharatha, as all these are blindfolded by this, beauty of Kaikeyi. Everything was blindfolded for him. So he says, now he is remembering all that. Satatam priyakama. She was satatam priyakama. Always she was good-natured, thinking of good things for me. Of my priyam and hitam only. Right? Priyaputra, Rama's mother. Priyam vada. She speaks only good and agreeable things. Priyam vada, satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, nabruyat, satyam apriyam. That's what in Vidura Niti he says. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, nabruyat, satyam apriyam. So, even if it is satyam, apriyam, it serves no purpose. At the end of the day, it serves no purpose. If you are very bluntly saying some truth, which only increases the heat, it won't serve the purpose. Doesn't serve any purpose. That's why those nitis are there. Priyam vada, namaya satkrita. I have never done anything good to her. Satkararha krite tava. Only I was attending to you all the time. I didn't do anything to her. She had all these good things which had just missed my attention. He thinks about it today. At the 11th hour of this complexity and this thing, he thinks. Sanunam vidava rajyam suputra karayishyasi nahi pravrajite rame devi jivitum utsahe. So he tries all tricks. Now he goes to that edge of the emotion now. Now he says, Noonam, kamsikam. This is what is going to happen finally. If not anything, this is what is going to happen. Kim? Rajyam saputra putrena saha. With your son, karayishyasi. You will get it done. You will rule this kingdom. But you will become a vidava. He says, sa vidava saputra karayishyasi rajyam. You will be a widow. By that, what he's saying is, if this decision is implemented, I may die. If I die, you become a widow. So, well, this is what it is. You and a widowed mother and the son, you will run the kingdom. Karayishyasi. Karayishyasi is a causal form. You make it happen. Karoti karayati. Patati patayati. Patati is reading. Patayati is making somebody read, which is the teacher on the other side. So it's a causal form. Karayishyasi. You make it happen. Not you do. You make it happen. Nahi pravrajite rame devi jivitum utsuhe. Pravrajite rame, if Rama is sent, hey Devi, if Rama is sent out, right? Na hi jivitum utsuhe. I have no desire to live. Therefore, you will become a widow and you will rule the country. Good luck. Please do it. If that is what you wanted, you do it. That's what Dasharatha says in this shloka. Rama manastvaya sardam mrityum tvam na bilakshaye Balo rahasi hastena Krishna sarpamiva sprusham. Like a Krishna sarpa, black cobra. Right? Even, just like if you go and touch a black cobra, that's what he says. Krishna sarpam iva asprisham. I have touched a black cobra, which means it is going to finish the formalities. Logically, it will go to the end. So he says, Ramamanaha, Tvaya Ramamanaha, Sardam Mrityam Tvam Nabilakshaye. So I was deluded. I have been enjoying with you without knowing that I am playing with my death. Without knowing that I am playing with my death, I have done. Without knowing that, without thinking about it, I have done it. Now I understand it is like actually touching a black cobra. Finished. That means it will retaliate, and that's the end of the story. So that is what Dasharatha is saying here. Hastena rahasi Krishna sarpam iva sprisham. Right? Rahasi here means not secretively, unknowingly. Rahasya is not known. That is a general meaning. Secret is not known. But rahasi does not mean secret always. It means unknowingly. Anything that is unknown can be a secret. Right? So rahasi here is unknowingly. Nalam dvitiyam vachanam putro mam pratibhashitum savanam pravrujot yuktaha bhadamityeva vakshyati. Putraha dvitiyam vachanam pratibhashitum mam nalam. Right? If I say something to the son, right, he will not say the second thing. Mom, to me, he won't say a second sentence. That is his nature. So, if I go and I just call him and say, you go to forest for 14 years, there is no issue there as such. Because he is not going to, that's what he says. Savanam pravrijyuktaha, pravrajetyuktaha, bhadamityeva vakshati. Immediately, okay, I will do, no problem. That's what 19th Sarga, 20th Sarga you should see. That's a beautiful conversation because Dasharatha is keeping quiet. It's only Kaikeyi talking. And Rama says, why are you so much worried? You could have simply told me all these. Why are you complicating? No problem. Very nicely, in half a sudden, the whole thing is over. Like that. Huh? Jarur. Immediately. Right? Jarur hum kar denge. Bhadamityeva vakshati. Yadi me raghava kuryat manam gaccheti choditaha pratikulam priyam me syat natu vatsaha karishyati. Now he has a small, what do you call, chapala, or a small parts per million possibility of something happening. He is talking about it. What is he saying? Yadi raghavaha gaccheti choditaha raghavaha. Chalo, you go to the forest. I already ordered him. You go to the forest. Gaccha iti choditaha raghavaha yedi kuryat. If suppose he does, what does he does? Vanam pratikulam. Vanam gaccheti iti pratikulam kuryat. Vanam should go to gaccheti. Yeah? So, suppose I tell him you go to forest. He says no. Not anukula, it is pratikula. He says no. Suppose such a thing happens, right? Me syat. Priyam me syat. If only he says like that, I'll be very happy. Dasharatha is saying, I call and tell him, you have to go to the forest. He says, no, I won't go. Suppose if he says that, he says, me priyam syat. That will be the most desirable thing for me. Tu, but, parantu, vatsaha na karishyati. He won't do that. I know he won't do that. There is no iota of doubt. But I am only saying, if there was only a parts per million possibility, one in a million, he really said that, I will be happy. But I know for sure he won't. So that's what in this shloka, Dasharatha is saying. I mean, he tried all possible things. He churned his mind so much. And he finally ended up, the last two shlokas of this chapter finally concludes what happened to Dasharatha and where is he. So we'll see those two shlokas.
All these things happened on the previous.
Right.
And Manthara was talking to Kaikeyi for hardly 2 hours, 3 hours. And Dasaratha must have spoken to her for almost 6 hours. And he could not succeed.
That's why Uddaret Atmana, that's why I brought that shloka. Uddaret Atmana Atmanam na Atmanam avasadet Atmaiva Bandhuhu Atmanam. I'll give you a simple thing to tell you how powerful is the mind. Now, there is a Nuchur Venkatramana, in his lecture I have heard this. Some of these things have just registered in me. So he simply says a very simple matter-of-fact statement. He says, when a boy gets married to a girl, it's a vivaha, all that happens, right? Both for the boy and the girl, they don't have to sit in a great tapas and then come to a conclusion, he is my husband and she is my wife. The manas immediately changes. Acceptance of the mind is so powerful. If it accepts in half a second also, he said there it happens, that's all. They didn't sit on a tapas and then reflected on it for hundreds of hours and finally came to a conclusion, he is my wife and he is my husband. He says like that. So, manas, that's why manas is powerful. So, if it changed, and for bad if it changed, and if you are not able to change, there is a samskara behind it, there is a...
It is only the vidhi which comes to
So, whichever way, but then if you are aware of those things, that the manas can really get trapped, then the propensity for you to get trapped will come down. Still at the end of it, so many things we can say. We are only saying that if you don't even have a knowledge of this, if you are blissfully ignorant of all these, then you have a very long journey. Those are all expressing through vidhi is only expressing all these in different ways. All that we are saying is, if you come for a satsanga, we do a satsanga, that means that vidhi has already wired all that into this whole thing. That's why you and I are sitting here and thinking about all this. So at one level, we can use that argument. But at another level, this is also true. If I didn't even know that mind is so powerful, I am just a slave of it. No, I just, without knowing what it is. That's why there's no, these are all some nearest operation manuals that you have for the apparatus.
The same mind which was churned by Dasharatha or Manthara is the same mind.
Correct.
So how much churning she has done and how much churning Dasharatha has done?
That is because, that's exactly...
Ultimately it comes to vidhi only, right?
No, the vidhi is one way of expressing. The other way of expressing is to say that the composition of the vidhi is such that Kaikeyi never had an exposure of these things. This is one way of saying it. But what does it comprise of? It comprises of this non-knowledge of Uddaret Atmana Atmanam. It's another way to say it.
It all depends how the mind is developed over the years.
Yes. Which we call it as vidhi. That's one way of expressing it.
Vidhi, if you leave it to vidhi, then that effort will not be.
No, let me also add one more sentence. While it is vidhi, but we are also to be aware that we should take things on our hand, no? Even that knowledge is required for us. If you say everything is because of vidhi, again, this is the simple story to tell that. There was one guru, one Advaita, great Advaita guru. There was a Shishya for him. So the Advaita guru told him that everything is Advaita. This boy understood all that very well. These instructions are going on. One day in the middle of the forest, there was one elephant. Right? One elephant, it was an inebriated state. First thing the guru did was he climbed the tree and went up. Whereas this boy said everything is Advaita. Everything is Advaita, so everything is the same. So this elephant really swelled him and then threw him. Fortunately, he survived. He said, after some time he came back to the guru and asked, you said everything is Advaita. He said, yes, everything is Advaita. I saw Advaita in the elephant. He said, why did you not also see Advaita in the tree and here and there? Like that, there is a story. What I am saying, the knowledge is inevitable. Knowledge is the only way by which the vidhi can be shaped slowly elsewhere. And that choice only we have. In fact, in Sakala Jiva Rashi, since you brought this, in Sakala Jiva Rashi, the ability to shape the vidhi is endowed only with human beings, nobody else. So we need to know this. So these are both sides of the same thing. I agree with what you are saying, that's at one level. But to know this and do this, if she had done it, she would not have gone this way. She could have slowly navigated the vidhi in a way that the vidhi keeps changing. All the vidhi is only exposed. We are talking about the process, then the outcome.
So you also told once that we have a limited amount of, what do you call that, ability to change, right? Free will.
Yeah, the free will, yeah, that's why the free will, no, forget about these discussions here. In any possibility, the changes can only happen in a very continuous and a contiguous fashion. You can't do any discrete changes anywhere. Forget about Vedanta. Anywhere, changes are contiguous. Changes are, I mean, you can talk a certain orders of magnitude. So in the same way, the vidhi has also to be navigated by proper. That's why several janmas and all that happening and so on. Right? That's why in Bhagavad Gita, again in chapter 5, Krishna very beautifully says, he says, na kartrutvam, na karmani, lokasya sujati prabhu, na, karma pala, this thing, sobhavastu vartate. So that free will component we should remember all the time. That's the only hope of changing. Otherwise, there is no changing, no? If you leave everything to vidhi, that means it is an autopilot. Then why am I here? What do I do with this brain? So it's both angles we have to keep. In this case, maybe she is not endowed with that kind of thing. So she ended in a... That's the learning we have to take from here.
She made the choice. Actually, when Mantara was talking about her, if she was harnessing the fear factor, she said, what will happen to you? You will become a dasi, your son will become a slave and all. The same thing even Dasharatha is telling, see, you will be widowed, your son will be ruling. What if your son does not even take that reign?
Kingdom.
So the platform is properly laid. The choice is made by Kaikeyi. So it is an informed decision that she is taking. So it cannot be. I totally agree.
No, so all these are only showing that there is a certain composition of this mind and its evolution, which is playing out like this, which we call it as vidhi. When it plays out, we call it as vidhi. But then to prepare for the future, it is not vidhi. The vidhi is bringing the past into the play now. Vidhi is last year's thing coming in. What about next year? Do you have an opportunity to change it is the question we need to ask.
So vidhi is more of a macrocosmic approach.
No, it is a prarabdha. Vidhi is what? Prarabdha. Prarabdha is what you brought when we are all born. We bring a bag full of a karma from a huge tank of karma, which is Sanjita karma is there, which is like a huge tank full of some item. We dip how much ever we can take in one bag, we take and step into the world with one more janma. So it is like the arrow which is released. So let us not worry about it. We'll go through it. See, that thinking is, if we are clear about that, then rather than worrying about that, we'll worry about how to shape the future. So vidhi will be taken. Very important.
Actually, there is an article, sir, who actually killed Rama, Mantra.
Anyway, we'll not get into those details. Anyway, we'll. Priyam ched bharatasya Rama pravrajanam bhavet masma me bharata karshit preta krityam gatayushah. Suppose Bharata also agrees to it. Priyam ched bharatasya etat Ramasya pravrajanam. The sending of Rama to the forest is agreeable to Bharata also. Suppose. Chet. Right? Bhavet chet. If that is what is the situation we are seeing, suppose if that happened, Mas me Bharata hai. Bharata is not mine anymore. Mas me Bharata hai. Me preta krityam gatayusha me. I will die anyway. After I die, my preta karya has to be done. Right? Gatayusha me preta krityam ma karshit. Bharata should not do my anteshti antima kriya. He should not do. He is also trying to put emotion, threat, everything possible onto the table because he thinks the consequences are too bad. So he is saying, Bharata I disown him as my son. Since I have disowned him as my son, he should not do my preta karya. See, there is one Pratima Nataka. Beautiful drama. such a beautiful drama. I mean, that is so powerful because these kavis have their own imagination. No? So when Bharata comes, the whole Nataka is, there is one hall in which there are pratimas of the past kings. So Bharata is introduced of Dasharatha's demise by putting one pratima of Dasharatha. I mean, it's a very emotional Nataka, in which this is how he is introduced that your father is no more. I mean, the Kavi has taken a certain position and direction there, that Bharata role and Bharata's emotions are all brought in that Pratima Nataka. Anyway. So this Sarga ends with 2 shlokas. I mean, a few shlokas towards the end I wanted to take. Vinashakama mahitam amitram avasayam mrittumivatmanastvam chiram batangena dritasi sarpi mahavishatena hatosmi mohat. The key word here is mohat. That's the key word in this whole shloka. Out of delusion, mohat. Vinashakamam, look at all the adjectives for Kaikeyi. Vinashakamam, one who is desirous of destruction. She wants to do destruction. Vinashakama. Vinashakamam, ahitam. She is not hita, she is ahita. She is a very unagreeable attitude. Amitram, she has become an enemy now, not mitram. Amitram, it's negative. Mrityumiva, atmana mrityumiva tvam. So he is talking about her. You are my mrityu. My own yama is you. Atmana iva mrityu tvam. Right? Avasayam chiram batangena. I have sheltered you. Chiram, forever. Dhritasi said, how was it? It was like holding on a snake. Dhritasi sarpi, mahavisha sarpi. A snake with huge poison. Mahavisha sarpi, hatosmi mohat. Finally, I am destroyed out of delusion. That is what Dasharatha's, his own conclusion of how he landed himself in his trouble is, I got deluded. Out of delusion, I walked into the trap over a long time set by you. All these I realized today. This is like holding a venomous snake in my lap, which will bite me anytime. That's what he says here. This is the last shloka in this sarga. Sa bhumi palo vilapanna tavat striya grihito hridayeti matraya papada devyas charanau prasarito ubhava samsprishya yata turastata. It paints Dasharatha in such a pitiable and a bad shape. Valmiki, this is his last shloka about Dasharatha's plight. What is he saying? Sa bhumi palaha. The protector of the bhumi, the great Chakravarti, Saha Bhumi Palaha, Vilapan, he was lamenting. Anatavat, like an orphan. Anatavat Vilapan, like an anata. Right? Vilapan. Grihitaha Hridaye Striya. He is caught in his heart by this lady. And then what did he do? Atimatraya. He overstepped his limit. Matra is limit, na? Atimatraya. He overstepped his limit. This great king overstepped his limit. And what did he do? Devyaha charanau prasarito ubau. He stretched his 2 hands towards the leg of Kaikeyi to really hold and ask for really bhiksha, sort of. Right? Asamsprishya, but she withdrew. Because she withdrew, he could not reach. Papata, he fell. He tried hard. He crossed all his limits of decency and even not decency, limits of everything that is there. He stretched out to take her leg and really plead for bhiksha, sort of a thing. But without reaching it, papata, aturaha tata, like a sick person. Right? Like a sick person. This is how Valmiki concludes Dasharatha's state of existence when this night which happened. So it's a very long, the chapter can be read. All the shlokas are very, informing of, there are some messages here. I will take a little bit and towards the end I will talk about it. So with this ends the 12th Sarga, one of the longest Sargas in which Dasharatha tried, overstepped his brief, tried everything. Nothing. Then comes the 13th Sarga. First 4 verses, Kaikeyi asks Dasharatha why he is still reluctant to grant the boon. She is unmindful of what has happened. She is saying, what's going on? Why are you delaying? Why are you hesitating? You only promised. I am only asking you a promise. Why are you hesitating? Like that she is asking the first 4 shlokas. Then shloka 5 to 13. Dasharatha points again to inappropriateness of banishing Rama into the forest, which is falling on the deaf ear anyway. Then Dasharatha, then Valmiki. This is in between Valmiki comes. Valmiki, there are 4 shlokas, 5 shlokas. He says how Dasharatha is finding it very difficult. The night looked like one yuga for him. He, another 4 hours, 3 hours, I don't know, 5, 6 hours they would have discussed, as you said, maybe another 2, 3 hours. He doesn't know how to spend the time. He is so, deeply, affected and so on. So Dasharatha has great difficulty spending that night. 1 or 2 shlokas are there. Then again he tries for a final reconsideration. He pleads again to Kaikeyi. I'm not going to get these shlokas because this 12th Sarga itself is very powerful. I just wanted to give you a continuity of what is happening. It's a short Sarga and some of them are repeated actually in some ways. Then comes the next Sarga where Dasharatha finally made up his mind, I want to meet Rama. That is what he wants. So there are 68 shlokas in this Sarga. The first 10 shlokas are Kaikeyi forcefully argues to Dasharatha to grant her. She is feeling the pressure because another 2 hours you have to get things done. Right? So she is again very forcefully arguing to Dasharatha. Actually, he gives the example of, Shalbya, then Arkala, ocean. He gives several examples. See how they are keeping up the promise. That king gave his body itself to a hawk. Shalbya did that. Shibi. Then he talks about Arkala who gave something. I don't remember that. Then he says oceans and the things are all keeping their dharma and then they are not stepping in. They are, like so many things she gives examples and says, why are you reluctant? Very reluctant. Dasharatha is really cornered in the next 14 shlokas. He disowns Kaikeyi and her sons and he says, I want to see. He doesn't say out, he never said out of his. If you see, he never said anything out of his. He became so helpless, he let her do the formalities. In 17th, 18th Sargas, you will see that actually. She takes control. You will see it. Towards the end also, you see the control. She takes over. In the meanwhile, the Sarga also describes it is twilight. So Vasishtha is arriving with his disciples. And there's a good description of what kind of arrangements. Vasishtha makes sure everything is all fine, all set to go. So all those shlokas are there. There are about 18 shlokas, 25 to 42. Where all arrangements, the city, and then Vasishtha tells to Sumantra, go and get Dasharatha. I think we have to get started now. Everything is all ready. Ushakala, Brahma Muhurta, everything is all set. So Vasishtha calls Sumantra and says, get the king. Sumantra comes here and he praises, he hasn't seen Dasharatha. As a protocol, he praises great things about Dasharatha and looks at him. And then he is confused because his eyes are all swollen. Dasharatha looks very this thing. So he is very sort of perplexed what is happening. And ask him to get up for the day and then he sees that. And Kaikeyi beautifully says why his eyes are swollen. I will show you that shloka. You just see that shloka. Then, of course, Kaikeyi says, no, immediately you go and get Rama. Kaikeyi gives no sense of any doubt to Sumantra. That shloka is like that. Immediately after that shloka, he says, get Rama immediately. King wants to see. Please get Rama immediately. So that is what is there in this Sarga. We'll see some shlokas, about 5-6 shlokas. We'll see. Satyam ekapadam brahma satye dharma pratishthitah satyam evakshaya vedah satye naivapyate param. There is one Mahanarayana Upanishad. That competing shlokas are on Satya is there. There is a Prajapati Aruni Vidya. I have quoted it long back. I brought it today again. Prajapati's son is Aruna. So there is a Mahanarayana Upanishad. There are 80 mantras in Mahanarayana Upanishad. One of the beautiful Upanishads that I have read. I have recited. I mean, it's all with nice swaras and all that. We recite it is part of Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda actually. So 80 mantras are there. Beautiful mantras. The mantras are such, after about 40-45 mantras, the mantras thing goes like this. Very high thought. So the 78 and 79 are Prajapati Aruni Vidya, in which there is equal in shloka. I will bring it. But for a moment, what she says Satyam Ekapadam Brahma. As a single word to represent Brahman is Satyam. Who of all Kaikeyi is saying that? Of course, she is right in her own ways. Right? Satyam Satye Dharma Pratishtitah. Which is true. The whole world of Dharma is what? Sustainability. The world sustains on Dharma, on Satyam. If there is this half value. There is something called half value. And that is, if I ask in this room, how many of you are very comfortable of somebody left, right, center lying at you? Blatantly lying at you. Nobody will agree. No, sir. What do you mean? I'm an idiot? People will lie at me and I will be very comfortable? You don't. If I ask how many of you lie, sometimes it is important to lie. This is called half value. I don't want nobody to lie at me, but I will lie. I don't want anybody to inflict violence on me, but I will inflict violence on somebody. This is called half value. We want to practice half the value, not the other. It won't work. And it is unsustainable. That's why a full value only will sustain. Satyam dharme pratishtita. Sustainability is only when there is full value. Satyam means Satyam. That's why Dasharatha had no choice. You should not discuss. You should, as you said, you should have discussed long back. There is nothing to discuss now, honestly speaking. He is only trying. That's why he also knows that he cannot say anything other than that. He was only trying. Satye dharmaha pratishtitah. Satyam eva akshayaha vedaha. It is only truth through which this Veda is existing. It is akshaya. Only because of this cardinal principle of truth. That's why Indian government, at least in the emblem, said Satyameva Jayate. Nanritam. From Mundaka Upanishad, they picked up that shloka. Satyameva Jayate Nanritam Satyena Panta. There is a nice shloka there in the 3rd chapter of Mundaka Upanishad. Satyameva Jayate. Right? Satyena Eva Apyate Param. You can reach, you can obtain your ultimate. What is his ultimate? Vyaktitva Vikasa. Not material benefits, not some in the eyes of somebody being very successful and very famous. They are not ultimate. Ultimate is this Vyaktitva Vikasa. That will happen only with the cardinal principle of Satyam. Kaikeyi is giving a lofty. Actually, this is a charm of Valmiki. Even in the thick of the episodes, he'll bring Lokaniti. He'll bring ideas which are very, very important for us. This is a Lokanyaya. It's a Niti. So that's what he says. Satyam samanuvartasva yadi dharme drita matihi sapalasya varo me astu varado hyasi sattama. So this is Satya is this thing. So don't have this, if you are established in Dharma, establish your Satya. That's what Kaikeyi is saying. He says, yadi dharme drita matihi, if your mind is fixed properly on Dharma, Satyam samanuvarta. You go on the path of Satya. Why are you wavering? Why are you not giving me the boon? I have been asking, you are telling all kinds of things. Right? That's what she is saying, Kaikeyi is saying. Sapalaha saha varaha me astu varado hi asi sattama. My vara, let it become sapalata. What I asked, make it happen. That way you actually tread the path of Satya. If your mind is fixed on dharma, you should do it. Why are you trying to waste your time? So she is also constantly pushing from her side and extract that word out of him. He never said that. He let her say on his behalf. He was okay with that. So this is that first line, first conversation between the Prajapati and Aruna. Prajapati Aruna Vidya. This is how it starts. Satyena va yuravati satyena dityo rochate divi satyam vacha pratishta satye sarvam pratishtitam tasmaat satyam paramam vadanti. This is how the father tells the son. He says, Satyena vayuhu avati. This wind blows only because it follows the cardinal principle of Satya. That's why wind blows. Satyena adityaha rochate divi. The shining of sun happens only because of Satya. Otherwise it doesn't. Satyam vachaha pratishta. The whole world of speech is deeply anchored only on the cardinal principles. The other way, half value problem will come. This is what it is. Please understand. A meaningful thing happen only when everybody can follow Satya. Otherwise it will collapse. It is unsustainable. That's what it is saying. Satyam vachaha pratishta. Satyam sarvam pratishtitam. So the whole world order, rhythm, is coming through Satyam. That's what I was saying, na? Rhythm. So Satye sarvam pratishtitam. Tasmat, therefore, Satyam param vadanti. Then Danam, then Tapas. It's a nice conversation. Similar shlokas are there. I just pulled only these from Mahanarayana Upanishad, 79th mantra, where the father says, Prajapatim pitaram upasasara adihi bhagav. Like that it will start. So she goes on pressurizing him. Dharmasyaiha bikamartam mama chaiva bichodanat pravrajaya sutam ramam trikhalu tvam brevimyaham. Dharmasya iha abhikamartam mama cha eva abhichodanat. Right? To keep up the dharma and to satisfy what I say, correct? Pravrajaya sutam ramam. Send him. Because that is what I am asking and you keep up your word. Right? Trikhalu tvam brevimyaham. See, we had a culture. Danyosmi, danyosmi, tridanyosmi. 3 times. There is a reason why it is told 3 times. You say 3 times to tell that Kayena, Manasa and Vacha I am saying. That is why the 3 times it is told. Which means, it's like in the will they say, no, I am fully conscious, I am all my, that is what the Trikalu. So when you want to say very important things, contracts are oral, not written contract. 3 times. You have to keep the word. That's why Danyosmi, Danyosmi, in Bhagavata Purana it will come, Danyosmi, Danyosmi, Tridanyosmi. The Tridanyosmi means Manasa, Vacha, Kaya, Aham Danyosmi. That is the deepest from the bottom of the heart. If you say that, you don't need a written document to, keep running around and then violating it and so on. That's why she says, Trikalutvam Bravimyaham. 3 times I have told, which means I am reminding you that you have to, from the bottom of your heart, your arjavam must be there. Manasa, Vacha, Kaya, action, deeds, everything must align. And you should say that. Talak also 3 times he is saying. It may be true. Actually, it may be true. Order. It may be true. This all would have flown from time immemorial. He is right, actually. Time immemorial practices, which we have missed the essence of it, actually. So 3 times would have been a practice in all civilizations age old. By saying that, you are only saying. You are right, actually. Rama Abhishekha Sambarehi Tadartam Upakalpitaihi Rama Karayitau Vyome Mritasya Salilakriyam. Now Dasharatha says, for purpose of doing Abhisheka of Rama, we have brought all water, no? Use that same water, do my Antima Kriya. It's what he's saying. Salila Kriya is, in all our rituals, water is, that's why Udaka is very important. Udaka Shanti they will do. What is the idea? We have only Agni and Apa. Pratyaksha Devata is only water it's a Varuna. Varunam Avahayami is what we say. Udake Varunam Avahayami. Kumbhe Varunam Avahayami. In fact, all these photos and all these vigrahas are now. The Vedic ritual is put 5 kumbhas. In our house we do puja only like that. We put Mahadeva is a big kumbha we keep. Then our family deity. And then Subramanya. Then we have 6 kumbhas. And then 5 days we do. Once in 10 years or 5-6 years we do. We don't go anywhere. We close it ourselves. All our family members come. 5 days only puja, morning to evening, 5 days. None of us step out of the house. Whatever ration required will come. After 5 days, we finish all of them and we do the Kumbhabhisheka. Avabhrita Snana. Only then we step out of we do it. In our house we do it.
Kumbha is water or?
Kumbha is the vessel.
Water.
But when you say Kumbha, what is implied is the water. Udaka Purita Kumbha. Kumbhodakam, if you want. So what I am saying, that is the water is being talked about here. Rama Abhisheka Sambaraihi Tadartam Upakalpitaihi. For the purpose of Abhisheka of Rama, we have brought anyway all these. Because there are some slokas in between where the water is brought and all that is said there. We have skipped all that. Ramaha Karayitabhyaha Me Mritasya Salila Kriyam. Let Rama do my Antima Kriya with the same water. That's what Dasharatha is saying. Right? Tvaya Suputraya Naiva Kartavya Salila Kriya. He says the other side also. You and your son should not do. Vyahantasya Shubhachare Edi Rama Bishechanam. Vyahanta Asya Shubhachare. Asya Shubhachare. Where is Akara there? Correct. Shubhachare, yes. Vyahanta Asya Shubhachare, yes. You are obstructing this good action. The one who is obstructing the good action. That is what it is. Rama Abhishechanam. You are obstructing it. Therefore, Tvaya, by you, Saputraya, Putrya Saha, with your son, Naiva Kartavya Salila Kriya. You should not do. You and your son should not do this Antima Kriya with this water. To me, the Rama do it. So he goes that level of emotion, seeing if there is a possibility. Sumantra Raja, and then she is not listening. Then Vasishta, all those stories are there. Sumantra comes. He prays to Dasharatha, get up. When he sees the Dasharatha, he is a little bit concerned because the eyes are all swollen. So now our Kaikeyi is saying the reason for it. Why the eyes are swollen. Okay? Sumantra Raja Rajinim Rama Harsha Samutsukaha Prajahara Parishrante Nidraya Vasham Upayivan. See, Sumantra, hey Sumantra, Raja is so happy about this Rama's Abhisheka, he didn't sleep for the whole night. Whole night he was awake. That's how she is saying. Prajahara Parishranta. He was wake up for the all night. Why? Because Rama Harsha Samutsuka. So happy about this Rama. About Rama. He never said Rama's event and all. She said, so happy about, because that is true. He was happy about Rama, but he is unhappy that Rama is not being. So he says, he is so happy about Rama, therefore he did not sleep for the whole night. That's why his eyes are swollen. Then she quickly says, Tadgaccha tvaritam suta Rajaputram yashasvinam Ramam anaya badram te natrakarya vicharana. Tvaritam gaccha. Suta Raja, Suta, the charioteer, Tvaritam gaccha. Quickly you go, right? Yashasvinam Rajaputram Ramam Anaya. Bring him. And she gives fancy adjectives for Rama, where she has to pretend that she loves Rama. Some of the message has to, because she has still not seen him saying. She is hoping when Rama comes, he is going to say. That's why she is also playing. Right? So, Badram te natra karya vicharana. Don't think, which means don't wait for Dasharatha's instruction. In his presence, I was told, there's nothing to think. Quickly go and bring him. That sense of urgency to finish because there can be a slip between the cup and the lip. So you have to quickly get it done. So this is the end of that Sarga. We will stop with this Sarga. But I want to tell a little bit about what do we learn from this. Just as we said, Uddaret Atmana Atmanam, Atmanam Avasadet for the Mantra episode. Now, looking at what this Dasharatha went through, I was wondering, what is it that we have to learn? Little bit you discussed, but what is it that we learn from this whole episode and all that? So I remembered of two beautiful shlokas. One shloka in Bhagavad Gita, which aptly says that this is the expression of what will happen if that shloka is not understood properly. See, in 18th chapter, there is these different types of Rajas, Tamas, and Karta. So in that, Sukha, Dhriti, all those are there. So this is about Sukham. So Krishna beautifully gives a shloka here. He says, Vishayendriya samyogat yat agre, amrutopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukam rajasam smritam. Actually, what Dasharatha went through is Rajasa Sukha. He himself said that. Krishna, these two shlokas are beautiful. He says, Arambe vishamiva pariname amritam is Atma Buddhi Buddhijam, that is called Satvika Sukha. Whereas Raja Sukha initially is very good. He was so attracted by Kaikeyi and she led her into Visham finally. That is what has happened. That is the lesson here. He's saying Rajasa Sukha, we have to be very, very, very careful. Because at the face of it, it will be very interesting. It will be very compelling. This is like, gobbling, sweet after sweet because you like it. Then you land up with a much deeper trouble. Much deeper trouble of a much higher order. Lot of Rajasa Sukha is like that. Pariname vishamiva. Tatsukam Rajasam Sudam. Actually, if you ask, can you give me a very detailed explanation of what is a Rajasa Sukha? I will say, go and read Sargas, Ayodhya Kanda, Sargas 9 to 14. Really telling you. It is really showing bit by bit how the realization comes when the damage is already done. So what Dasharatha is also telling us through this episode, or Valmiki is telling us through this episode, is there is something called Rajasa Sukha. So Krishna is not casually discussing anything in Gita. Everything has a very deeper thing behind it. That Rajasa Sukha has fully played out in that's why he said, I ignored Kaushalya right through. Why did he? Because Vishendra Sanyogat. He got completely deluded because of Vishendriya Sukha, Dasharatha, which costed him so dearly, which took his life also. That is the very most important message we must infer and connect to this episode. I also remembered of Kathopanishad. In Kathopanishad also, it is all so nicely written. I will just take two shlokas just to connect it to this. Because in the first chapter of Kathopanishad, first Valli, Kathopanishad 2 chapters, 3 Vallis, 6 Vallis totally. But in the first Valli of first chapter of Kathopanishad, as many of you know, it is actually the son seeing this father. Yes, Gata Yusha, Dugdodaka, those kinds of descriptions. Cows which are of no use. They cannot bear anymore. They cannot secrete any milk, and he is giving dana. Very carefully he is culling out useless things and giving dana. This is what a lot of people today, people have not understood the value of dhanam in this country. You should read Taitropanishad Siksha only for that. Today, when things of now with a little bit of awareness, because for some of these great things that are happening, these kind of disasters, tons and tons of useless things are being sent. Like this father giving useless cows as dana, torn pieces, old pieces, things which are the verge of jirna. bedsheet is given with great large heart for the people of Kerala. You should never do that. Dana is a great opportunity, as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, as Vivekananda says, it's Daridra Narayana. God, you gave me an opportunity to help someone. If you can give one bedsheet, stop there. Buy a new bedsheet and give. And make sure it reaches. That's a problem which we can also solve in some other ways. So, in the first Valli, Nachiketas is very annoyed by his father's behavior. Then he asks, whom am I going to give me? Again and again he keeps asking. The father got so irritated. He said, I'll give you to Yama. So the son says his whole ishti, it's a kameshti. Safalata must happen. Therefore he goes to Yamapatna. And he waits for 3 days. The Yama comes back and then he is so praiseful of this boy. 3 days you are without food and all that. You are Brahmin. So I want to give you 3 boons, something like that. He says, ask me the 3 boons. So he asks 3 boons, for which the reply starts in the second Valli. This is the first 2 shlokas I want to take. It's a nice shloka, but we can go. I just quickly put the shloka and stop there. He says, Anyacheyo anyadutaiva preyaste ube nanarte purusham sinitah tayo shreyaha adadanasya sadhu bhavati hiyate arthadya upreyo vrinite. So he says, Anyaha Shreyaha Anyatyeva Preyaha. So there is something called Shreyas, there is something called Preyas. First Yama says, there is something called Shreyas, there is something called Preyas. Anyat Shreyaha Anyatyeva Preyaha. Te. Ube Nanarte Purusham Sinitaha. Much depends on what you pursue, you are bound into it and you are led in that path. That's the first line. Second line says, Tayoho, between the two. Tayoho is Dvivachanam, no? Between the two, among the two, right? 7th Vibhakti, among the two. Shreyaha Adadanasya Sadhu Bhavati. One who pursued the path of Shreyas, it's good for him. Okay? Hiyate Arthat Ya U Preyo Vrinite. That person which goes after prayers will get some material benefits. So there is something called good and there is something called pleasure. Pleasure and good are not the same. Good is different from pleasure. Sometimes a good can be pleasurable. But there is nothing like good is pleasure or pleasure is good. Pleasure can be bad. Good can be not necessarily a pleasurable thing. That's what the prayers and the shreyas. One more shloka I will take. Shreyascha preyascha manushyametaha tam samparitye vivinakti dhiraha. Shreyo hi dhiraha abhipreyaso vrinite preyo mando yogakshemat vrinite. So Yama says the shreyascha preyascha manushyametaha. Both are available for every human being. They can go for prayers or shreyas. Tau, between that, samparitya vivinakti dhiraha. The dhira is one who examines and brings a high degree of discrimination before he decides whether I want prayers or whether I want shreyas. That dhira is able to do it. Shreyahi dhiraha abhi preyaso vrinite. So, Shreyahi dhiraha abhi. So, dhira goes after shreyas. Whereas preyasaha vrinite, preyo mando yogakshemat vrinite. So people who want comfort in living, I want more money, I want name, fame, I want indriya sukha, vishaya indriya sukha, comfort, one farmhouse, one, maybe 2 more cars, 4 more refrigerators, 4 more floors of house. If you are into that domain, Yama says generally people go after prayers. Whereas a very discriminating person knows that he should go after shreyas. But all these are badly understood. That doesn't mean a person who wants shreyas will be a beggar, loitering on the road. It only means he trini karoti. When Lakshmi and Sukha comes, he will take it. It goes tomorrow, he doesn't even blink his eye. That is the meaning. People misunderstand all these shlokas. They think, oh, is it this or that? Therefore, if I have to take shreyas, I have to willfully make me a beggar out of myself. I have to throw everything. These are all wrong understanding of our Upanishads. It only says, Trini Bhava Avashyaka. Enjoy if something comes, understand God has given it to you, enjoy it. If it goes tomorrow morning, life as usual. That Manobhava is Shreyas. A person who goes on the path of Shreyas will do that. That is the meaning of this. It is not this or that means you do this or do that. That means, you have to create misery for you artificially and then create problems for you and your extended family. It never meant any of those. It said what kind of an attitude of life with which you actually traveled in this world when things came to you and it went out of you. It can be power, it can be position, it can be money, it can be bandhu, it can be mitra bandhavaha. That frame of mind is what is required for a Shreyas. Okay, we'll stop here. I think these are all the lessons that are coming out of Dasharatha's problem that Dasharatha went through. We can link all these to this story and take our own lessons of life. I think we will stop here.
The is Prithya. If you put a Rakara, Sanskrit meaning is not. It will not be meaning that you know. Vira means, some meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Literal meaning.
No. This is not the plus ra. To the there is a pratyaya, nyan, I think. If you only makes it a participle actually. Ira is one who is endowed with the. It is all, see Sanskrit. Om swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyo shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasyashalini deshoyam kshobarahito brahmana santu nirbhayah aputra putrinas santu pautrinas adhana sadhana santu जीवन्तु शरतां शतं शृण्वन् रामायणं भक्त्या यप्पादं पदमेव वा सयाति ब्रह्मणस्थानं ब्रह्मणा पूज्यते सदा हरिः ओम्. Today is Janmashtami. On behalf of all of us, I invoke the blessings of Lord Krishna and let Krishna's infinite compassion and blessings be with us all the time and take us through this journey for all of us to realize our true potential and see that sense of fulfillment in us in the days to come. In South India, I think it's today.
South India is today, North India, they are doing.
Yeah.